DCeased, War of the Undead Gods, issue 7. Tom Taylor writing with Trevor Hairsine and Lucas Meyer.
Speaking of Darkseid's crack,
well,
there's a lot of different cracks in this one. That man is rough.
Yeah,
he needs some moisturize.
Darkseid is obviously pissed. I mean, I feel like this particular DCeased miniseries has really lived and died by its insane. They're doing this like last pages. You know, last time it was Alfred becoming the new Spectre, and we've had other moments like that throughout. And then this issue, just to get straight to what it builds up to, it ends with Darkseid seemingly becoming an ally of all the heroes because now he's pissed that this force overtook him.
And made him a puppet. Darkseid is no one's puppet.
Yeah.
Also, Lobo. What leads to Darkseid getting the cure is Lobo forcing his fist down with the cure
into his mouth,
to his mouth and breaking his own arm off. So, just Tom Taylor just having a completely wild time on this one.
It's so like again, this is a wild issue for me where I really like a lot of the beats that it's doing. I like that ending, all for it. Especially as this felt like it was like the final issue. Right up until like that last like 2 pages, I was like, oh yeah, the book's done.
It feels like they're curing everyone, and it feels like the last issue is more about going after the source of the virus than anything else.
Yeah. But also, I think I actually felt really cold reading it. Like, I think it's the Alfred Spectre narration as it's going through. It comes off really dry, and it feels like he's narrating these events, and I can just feel like, oh, he's narrating these things, and it kind of takes away a little bit of the cool factor. Yeah.
So, but no, yeah, I get where you're coming from on that. Just
a little bit stiff almost in terms of it's just here's what happened. It's just it's just a retelling of the story, but without any pizzazz to it.
Right, because when we get the stuff that happens with Damien, it's not that big of a shock. You know, to me the shock is that Alfred as the Spectre left and went and personally delivers the cure, physically, he doesn't use the Spectre's magic. He just that I feel was a bigger shock than anything with Damien. So I get where you're coming from on that coldness.
I mean, I've been having fun with this miniseries. I don't think this miniseries is probably the weakest of all the minis that have been part of this season. And I think it's not because the quality is necessarily any lesser. It's just because we're building up to the actual ending now, because it feels like, okay, we're building up to an ending where they win and they save the day, and the first DCeased also had that narration, but it had this kind of tone to it, because it was oh, this was the world before it ended, right? And it felt like we didn't know where it was going and how dark it was going to get. Whereas here, it kind of feels like we're building up to just, the good guys, by and large, are going to win, and it's going to be a typical ending.
It might be as well we're kind of a little bit used to it. In that first, it was really stark to have that narration. It felt different. Whereas now I'm like, okay, I'm kind of maybe a little bit immune to just that feeling that it's trying to portray when like you say, it feels like it's getting towards a good ending, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still having fun with it. I still think all of the weird ways that Taylor's mashing up different, things in the DC universe, whether it's Alfred the Spectre or,
Yellow Lantern, Darkseid.
Yellow Lantern, Darkseid, or, Black Adam infused Cassandra Cain, or whatever it may be.
Or Cyborg Brainiac.
Cyborg Brainiac is the one we get in this issue.
That was so when we see Brainiac come, so John engages Darkseid, right, because he's coming for the whole world, and this is before or after he takes the shot from Warworld.
No, that's before, because that puts him out. He's down when he takes that blast from Warworld.
Because his dad catches him. That's right. So he goes after Darkseid, and he's getting overpowered by zombie Darkseid, and then Brainiac comes and saves John, or at least takes Darkseid's attention away, and then Brainiac goes, and then I'm like, oh man, is this virus about to get supercharged?
Yeah, Brainiac just dies, and then Cyborg effectively fights back and takes over Brainiac's ship and all of his network, and basically says, oh, I've got an idea, and his idea ends up being getting Kandor and just resizing everyone. So literally the backup, the cavalry, 2/3 out of this issue is 1,000 Kryptonians.
Hey,
the people of Kandor.
That'll help,
and then he becomes the new Brainiac, but it feels like, whereas Brainiac was this collector, it feels like a cyborg version of Brainiac is an actual living
Yeah,
you know,
there was
I
actually
would say as opposed to a collector, that's the word I go with is a curator.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, there was a nice little touch here that kind of came because Cyborg, of course, was kind of the epicenter of the entire thing back in the first series, and it kind of brings this up here that he's kind of redeeming himself, like at least in his own way.
Yeah.
That he's because literally the virus or whatever was about to destroy all these bottled cities, so Cyborg basically just stopped genocide from happening by saving all these bottles. So it's kind of like him getting to have this kind of redemptive, like full circle kind of thing.
It's very, very, very nice. But yeah, Connor, he's a curator, not a collector. Like he's
kind of overseeing it and kind of looking after it, but he's not adding to the collection. He's not, stealing from other cultures.
He's not destroying planets just so he can bottle one city.
Right.
Yeah, he's not doing that anymore.
Right.
So it's a nice evolution of that.
That would
nice
be a
evolution of Cyborg too. Like it was a nice sometimes when you mix up those characters, you smash up the characters, it can lead to like, okay, this is what we're doing. It just felt like a logical step here. So yeah, and it led to that redemptive plot too. So
yeah, I think the only other critique I'd have about this particular miniseries versus the others is that so much of it is just felt like big battles in some of the issues, whereas I don't think that earlier miniseries felt that way.
There's a little bit less heart in this one.
Yeah. So I think that's just by its nature of going bigger again, because now it's cosmic, now it's new gods, now it's all the big like like you say, it was more personal before. It was more about the individual characters, and that's kind of went away a little bit.
Yeah, now they're actually fighting entropy, right? Just as a concept. That's what Erebos is. So, and it does feel kind of colder, but it's not as personal.
And it's obviously not bad. By no means am I saying this is a bad issue. It's still a mostly fun mini that doesn't live up to the legacy of the DCeased name, I would say, overall. But
it does deliver on the title of War of Undead Gods, though. So, there's that.
Yeah. No, it's still good. It's just not as special as either the first mini, or certainly not as Unkillables, which I think is the peak of the entire thing.
So good.
Yeah, tree shrimp for life.
Tree shrimp for life. But no, it's still good. I'm still excited to see how this wraps up, and like the idea of Darkseid. Like, what are the odds you think on Darkseid say Darkseid is before he punches Entropy in the face, or maybe beaming it in the face with these Omega beams? Whatever the method of punishment.
I don't know if it'll say Darkseid is, or if it'll be like some slight twist
life
on
is.
that. Yeah,
life is. I feel it's on Darkseid to say that though, because he's all anti-life. Yeah,
but he's been reborn. He's a new man.
Well, and no one uses him as that's what I love too. I feel like he's gonna have that. Like one of my all-time favorite comic moments is from an Ultron book from the 90s, right? Or one of the Avengers books, and it's Thor, and he's all battle damaged, and he's with Captain America, and he looks at Ultron and says, "We'll have words with thee." And I always felt like they missed that in Age of Ultron. So I feel like Darkseid having one of those moments, as he looks Erebos in the face, I feel could make for a big one.
I mean, it could just be as simple as Darkseid is no puppet, Darkseid is.
Darkseid is no one's puppet. Yeah.
Well, no, because that's just a sentence. It's like you have to end it with Darkseid is, otherwise it doesn't have the impact of the phrase Darkseid is. You can't just say Darkseid is hungry and go, there you go, they've put Darkseid is in. It doesn't work.
Maybe if he wasn't as hungry, he wouldn't be, craving anti-life so much.
Well, if he wasn't hungry, then he'd just be his.
Right, true.
All right, what are we rating DCeased for the Undead Gods? Matt, go.
I'm gonna go say straight 7.
Connor.
As is customary, I will be a little bit lower and give it a 6.
I am happy to give it the 7. Much like Matt.